SP Convo, SP Convo, SP Convo, SP Convo. Let's do it.
Supreme Court in Washington, with the justices splitting along ideological lines, siding with the White House in some major legal disputes over President Trump's hardline immigration policies. That includes allowing the administration to remove those TPS deportation protections for thousands of Syrian and Haitian immigrants. The court also clearing a pathway for more restrictions on asylum seekers at the border. For more on this, NBC News legal affairs reporter Gary Grumbach joining us from D.C. Gary, we know these TPS protections are intended for people fleeing war and catastrophe in other parts of the world. What does today's decision mean for U.S. immigration policy in general?
Yeah, on the TPS case, what they ruled, the Supreme Court, along ideological lines, was that on non-constitutional claims, federal judges actually can't touch those issues. So if somebody's coming with a TPS claim that doesn't have to do with a constitutional issue, they can't touch that issue. If it is constitutional, which is what the Haitian case was, saying there was racial discrimination against the 350,000 Haitians that had been terminated from the TPS program, they say that it's not actually an issue. They rejected that idea entirely. So termination of TPS for just Haitians and Syrians right now, but that's more than 350,000 people, and that could mean bad news for TPS for other countries coming soon.
Right. Sounds like 6 justices found there was no grounds for discrimination.
Mm. Mm, mm, mm. Mm, mm, mm. They're gonna let them people go. Once you understand what America is about, you understand it ain't safe for you. You can't enter a country, man, thinking that it is what it is. So, this is Donald Trump last year signing the executive order to end birthright citizenship, right? And you know, people were happy. They made headlines. Let's get into it. All my videos is for fair use. Fair use, fair use. Educational purposes. Educational purposes, fair use. Let's get it going.
Connor, thanks. Now to continuing coverage from Washington at 6:44 as the U.S. Supreme Court announces it will hear arguments next month on the Trump administration's efforts to curtail birthright citizenship in this country by way of an executive order. Now, a federal judge earlier this year put a pause on that order, calling it blatantly unconstitutional. Let's bring in Scripps News Group congressional correspondent Nathaniel Reed live in Washington this morning. So, what can we expect at this hearing next month? Is there any chance that the White House is going to be successful in getting this to happen?
Well, look, Blaine, that's a very real possibility, and there's a lot of questions about what the ruling could look like from the Supreme Court. I know it's early. Those oral arguments not expected until May 15th of next month, but still questions about how they could potentially rule in this case. For one, the Trump administration asking the Supreme Court to weigh in to try and stop the lower court's halt on this executive order to try and limit birthright citizenship.
Now, that was last year, right? Okay. So they didn't give him the decision. So we found out Trump didn't get the decision, right? Okay. So don't you know? Trump said, I'm going back for round two. This man is not playing. And to be honest, there's a lot of naturally born American citizens that's not playing. And they willing to jump from blue to red to make that point. People has lost jobs. There's people that lost their lifestyle and livelihood. Recently put a video up about America's competition in the workplace. That video was made with the hopes of understanding how we got to this point as a nation. Me, I'm good. I'm well versed. I experienced a lot of things. I've been to different places from young, seen different things, know how to blend in. So I'm alright. So that's just me putting that video out there to give some people some pointers of how to survive, move along, and keep themselves, together. But this birthright citizenship is where you have United States citizens saying, we want our country back. And if the blue not going to do it, then the red may be able to give us some type of peace and relaxation. And that's what people want is peace, and they want their lifestyle back. And they want it to go back to what they used to. They want familiarity. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Ain't nothing wrong with that. So Trump went back for round two. And this is how it went. Round two.
Crackdowns, and this will give us the right to do it in a much more forceful manner.
In June, the Supreme Court narrowly shot down the president's previous attempt to deny automatic citizenship to children of non-citizens born in the U.S., ruling the broader executive order he signed at the beginning of his second term was unconstitutional because it violated the 14th Amendment.
It was close, but a very, very unfortunate decision. So we're making adjustments because it's very unfair.
These new executive orders are more narrow, including applying to children born of foreign diplomatic staff working on behalf of another government while in the U.S., children of people who belong to federally declared terrorist groups, and children born of mothers who enter the U.S. solely for the purpose of having a child on U.S. soil, known as birth tourism.
They've taken birthright citizenship and they've made a joke out of it. They're buying their way in, and we're not going to let it happen.
The White House calling it a broken system, allowing foreigners access to U.S. government benefits.
If you're telling a consular officer you're here as a tourist, but your true purpose and intent is to go to a baby mill, give birth, and try to mint an American citizen while you're here, then you're committing a fraud against the American government.
But tonight, LULAC responding the 14th Amendment is not a policy preference.
And Gabe, tonight we're already hearing from potential legal challengers to the president's actions.
Yes, Tom, several groups are looking through these executive orders tonight. The ACLU tells us no matter how many executive orders President Trump signs, birthright remains the law of the land. Tom?
That's what they want. That's what they're hoping for. But I don't know. Because I'm going to give my opinion on this. The nation, the birth of the nation, started with that narrative, black and white. that great American cookie, black and white. And when the whites and the blacks had to learn through strife to become one, both of them was arrogant, both of them was cocky, both sides had this superiority complex, but they had to come together to fight the British. When the new Americans, which is the kids of European descent, decided to make America their home, they didn't want to deal with the British rule no more. So I'm gonna say my own understanding. I'm gonna put it in my words of the grandkids didn't want to listen to the grandma and grandpa, so they put a revolt on their grandparents and said, "Yo, if we have to, we're gonna go against you because we're gonna stay here in the new land." So, along with the slaves or the indentured servants or the whoever they were at that time, it was black and white fighting in our army to go against the British. Before that, it was slave masters whipping on the slaves. You understand? Then some of them slaves became worksmith or blacksmiths. They had their little jobs, and then they got their somewhat freedom papers, and in progression, gradually, the blacks moved up into different things. So by the time they was enlisted into the army, at first they was put onto the army just to, you know, get them to feel a certain kind of way. But when they started training the blacks and had to make them disciplined, to make them serious, the blacks started enjoying it, and they started feeling like, hey, we belong here now. This is us. This is ours. How you gonna get rid of all that? All that history? How a new group of people want to come to America and say the country belongs to them, where they don't have no pages in the history book of the United States of America of going to war, fighting for theirs? We have to be practical, people. That's like Americans going to other people's country and claiming everything that their forefathers did in that country. Come on, them people will be upset. So why wouldn't people think America don't have the same sentiments? It's human nature, people. It's human nature to feel a certain kind of way when you have foreign people coming into your land and you got to change your ways for them. It's not right. It's not right at all. Now you're gonna hear people say, "Oh, but America come to my country and take things." Nah, that's government entities. These countries are developed now, so it's government. Every country have their own government, a parliament. You know, they all sit down, make deals, cut checks. Now, if the citizens don't benefit, then you know, that's the government of your country's problem. But the government of that country benefit. So that's that. Now, if Trump gets this win, it's good night, Irene. I recently watched an interview with Megan Kelly, and Megan Kelly was saying, "Go home, go home." Whether it was acted, scripted, or whatever the case may be, she said something during her podcast. She said, "Not even the Black Americans has messed up the country." She said, "Not even the American citizens, the black ones, they haven't messed up the country." So, I say that to say, for everybody that looked at black Americans as lazy, no good, the country don't like them, you just heard a woman say, not even the black Americans mess up the country. Because why would somebody mess up their own country? So for y'all to believe that, whoever believed that outside of America, come on, man. Use your brain. If the black Americans mess up the country, You don't think them people would have been under a lot of scrutiny? If black Americans is lazy, how you gonna have a country? You don't think the country would have fell? Use your brain, people. Understand. Stop the jealousy. Stop the hatred. And stop the wishing it was you. Stop the pick me. I could do it better. Trust me, I know I can. And stop deceiving yourselves. Because the more you put yourself out there, you have to be careful. Somebody might actually call you up on your bluff. Trump wants an all-white country. He know that will never be. So he want a country to be where the country that he knows. He want familiarity. He wanted a country which is black and white. And if you are of white elk, you have to have some type of lineage or understanding that when you come to America, you have to assimilate. That's what the blacks should have done. The blacks from abroad should have came to America and assimilated with the American blacks. They should have assimilated. That means learn the history of the country, learn the fighting patterns, learn the ingenuity of the blacks, learn their struggle, learn what they had to overcome, blend in, fit in. You shouldn't come to a country and try to impose your culture on a country that have its own identity. That's what Trump means. Trying to erase the United States of America's countries, the United States of America culture, fabric, history, sense of being, stapleship with other things. You know, they said this land was made for you and me. Land meaning what? When they said this land, United States of America land or the globe, the land mass of the globe was made for you and me. If it's only talk about America because the song sound like it's an American song, then you should understand this land was made for you and me, meaning the white people and the blacks at that time. Everybody else just try to use that as a loophole to get their foot in. I'm not going to spend too much time on this one. What I'm going to say is if Donald Trump and them courts decide to sit back and give him that win, a lot of people is going to carry themselves the way they know they're supposed to carry themselves when they first came to the country. And I'm going to be honest. It's not immigrants' fault altogether. Because if I come from a country, if I go to a country where the government is allowing it to happen, human nature dictate I'm going to do until I'm no longer able to do it. So the government do have fault in this. But Trump is here to change the narrative. It's going to be a new day soon. And if you have an open mind, you will survive. But if you still have a primitive closed mind, use this for good. Use this to move ahead. It's easy to hate. It's easy to wish bad on somebody else. We come from places and we come from experiences that, you had to sometimes use your negative thinking to survive. But this gonna be a new country, and all that negative stuff is out the window. If you ain't trying to come to America, if you ain't trying to come to America to link up with those that's already in America, pushing ahead, you gotta go. If you're not coming to America to assimilate to the American ways, don't leave your country. If you're gonna come to America and not put your head down and do what you have to do to better yourself, and you want to look up from time to time and criticize the country and think that American government is not gonna feel a certain kind of way, don't come here. Because this land was made for you and me, didn't apply to everybody else outside the scope. It only applied to white and black. SP Convo, baby. Let's do it.